Welcome to our Saturday Simulcast, July the 21st edition. And that's not right. I think it's actually it will be July the 19th. I can't even read a calendar, but that is Saturday. Big day in Purdue history is July 20th. Of course, that is that will mark the 56th anniversary. I've got all dates screwed up. 56th anniversary, of course, of Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. It's that time of year where it is the calm before the storm. Tom Dienhart will join me for this week's edition of GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast as he gets ready to head to Las Vegas, of all places, for the Big Ten Media Days. We'll talk about that and hit on some of the things that'll be topics throughout the course of the rest of this month of July. But obviously, as Purdue gets into camp too, which will start, I think it's July 31st, and then starting right after that. So Tom will bring Tom aboard. And Tom, now that I messed up every date known to man, it is this July 19th edition of GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast. And you'll be in Vegas for Purdue next week. Take us a little bit through that schedule. Crazy that Media Day is in Vegas. When's the last time you've been in Vegas, I should ask?
Question number one, Alan Karpick. I've known you since the fall of 1985, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
What would 1985 Alan Karpick think if I told him that Big Ten Media Day is going to be in Las Vegas 40 years? What would...
Oh, I don't know. It's funny because we used to have, and you and I go down this rabbit hole all the time, but it's kind of fun for us, is the whole notion that used to have the Skywriters. Remember? And I remember maybe even in 85 or 86 having dinner at Leon Burtnett's house and hosting the Big Ten Skywriters, the Bill Jouses of the world. Some of those guys, I can remember him, Bill Jouse, working in my apartment at Salem Courthouse, if you can believe that, banging on a typewriter or one of those. I don't know if he had a Jeff Washburn, what were those called? The Radio Shack deal.
TRS 80.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was working on, but
he probably just dictated his story.
Yeah, and yet that was the way it was then. So no, I would never envision this. And Mandalay Bay is where it's going to be, Purdue's day. And take us a little bit of the itinerary and what you expect next week.
Yeah, I'm not a real Vegas guy, Alan.
Have you been there before?
One time was in 1999, and it was during the NCAA basketball tournament. I remember Purdue was playing Temple, and they got beat by Temple in the second round. That's my memory, Alan. Frustrating loss. A pretty kind of a fun Purdue team, that 98, 99 Purdue team. Those late 90s Purdue basketball teams, with Brad Miller and the late Jerron Cornell and Mike Robinson and those guys, were a lot of fun, I remember. And that was disappointing. Of course, the year before they lost to Stanford in St. Louis. We don't want to go there either. But now I'm really going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But, Las Vegas, Nevada, it's a 3-day event. Purdue goes on the final day of the 3-day event. Of course, 6 teams each day. And, Barry Odom will be up there on the dais. And plenty of talking points, not just for Purdue, but for college football on a national level. We've already seen how the Big 12 have their media day. Of course, the SEC is going right now. Anybody pays attention to college football knows that's going on. And a lot of talk about the House settlement, of course, and how the Big Ten sort of setting its heels in the ground now on the future college football playoff, how they want, 4 automatic bids unless the SEC, they want them to acquiesce in a 9th conference game. So it will be interesting to see who wins that stare down between the 2 power conferences. So, Las Vegas, Nevada, be there, be square, Alan. And I don't think I'm going to be doing any gambling, but I'll certainly be doing some people watching, plenty of talking, and plenty of writing.
Well, you got to even on one of your walks, you got to get up to the Sphere. Even though that's on the other end of the strip of where you All right, I don't know what's playing, if anything. It is unbelievable, but it is even to see it at night is cool. And it is a good place to people watch. I've been there almost every year. We have our Collegiate Sports Publishers Association. I think I've been there almost every year since '97.
Okay.
And I'm not a gambler either. I think I've lost a grand total of $12 during that time because I
Yeah.
can't stand throwing money away. But it is a
Like
great place to
you.
people
Like
watch.
you.
Yeah, is
Alan,
Purdue?
on the
Yeah, go
last
ahead.
Purdue goes on July 24th, a week from Thursday.
Yeah.
Last Thursday, July 24th. Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, USC, and UCLA join Purdue on the 24th, the third and final day of this media day in Las Vegas.
Well, that'll be a good chance to, obviously Purdue's going to play USC in week 3. Chance to Lincoln Riley's. There are a lot of questions about where they're going. Michigan, with the way their season finished up last year, a lot, and of course the zillion-dollar quarterback. They are going to be some interesting things from that standpoint. You'll have some things to talk about. So if you're gonna, and I know you're working hard, burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out what questions you're going to ask Barry. You've asked him about everything you can ask him, but in these types of events, what do you try to get out of him? Because he's going to obviously talk to everybody. Then I don't know if they still do the round table things where you get a little bit of a chance of a one-on-one, or at least around the table. How does that work anymore?
Yeah, I remember in Chicago they would do that. That was a fun deal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What they do now, the last few years it's been in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, and the coach has their big stage, a portion of their duties, but they also get broken down, Alan. Well, then the coach will go sit at a dais by himself on the field, and people could kind of come and go and graze and approach the dais and ask coaches questions, go to the next desk, ask the next coach. Players are sitting at them as well, so that sort of mimics that old round table that you used to have up in Chicago. So what's Barry Odom going to be asked? Man, he's the only new coach in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
18 teams, only one coaching change. Not a lot of coaching changes across the landscape of college football. A lot of schools were kind of wanting to see how this whole house settlement played out, I should say. Didn't want to pay big buyouts. I think that was something that was going around as well.
Save some guys some jobs. Yeah. Didn't save Ryan Walters, but yeah.
You're right. Yeah, didn't save Ryan. Almost saved Ryan Walters.
Yeah.
Job if you talk to enough people, but I think people are going to be interested to see how he can flip the script. We're very familiar with the struggles Purdue's had of late. We know you can win at Purdue, Allen. We've seen it. People watching us have seen it. I think it's a better job than maybe people outside of our sphere realize. They're good resources here. It's funny, Alan. I talked to the assistant coaches during spring football, and to a man, they said the one thing that surprised them the most about this job were the facilities. They didn't think the facilities were going to be this good. So there you go. I think everything's here for Purdue to win. And we saw the support last year from the fans too, how they showed up despite the struggles of that team last year. And I'm not sure if ticket sales will be on par as last year, but I think they're going to be pretty strong. I think there's a lot of optimism, Alan. I want to see what Barry Odom can do here. We know what he's up against. We know how this roster's been flipped, torn asunder. Over 50 portal guys have come in. Freshmen have come in, and junior college transfers come in. How is it all going to work, Alan? If I told you I knew, I'd be lying to you, my friend. I don't want to lie to you.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. And on top of all that change with the personnel, Alan, on top of the coaching staff change too, there's the schedule. We always have to talk about the schedule in football. So few games, and gosh, Purdue's got a lot of heavy lifting, as I like to say, right? We've already talked about it before with Notre Dame and USC coming to West Lafayette for the first time since 1976. Michigan, Ohio State are on the schedule, Alan. Indiana and Illinois are not chump change anymore, my friend. They're going to be preseason top 25 teams. On and on it goes. Alan, Las Vegas has spoken about projected over-under win totals for all these teams. Purdue, I think, is at 3.5.
Yeah.
Would you be happy with a 3-9 record, Alan?
And we've talked about that. I'd like to see how you could get to 4 wins, but I guess it depends how they play, and I think that's just the standard pat answer that everybody seems to come up with. when you're 3-9, and when Vegas is picking you, what 3.5 over under? I don't know what it is. I just look at the schedule and you look down at games. And it's dangerous to do, especially in this environment when you really don't have any clue of what you're going to see. I look at games like Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers, and then obviously the first two. You got to find your way to crack those three, that 5 total there. But everybody's assuming that Ball State and Southern Illinois are going to fall in the win column. We've seen that change. Never against Ball State. Purdue's never lost to Ball State, but nor have they lost to Southern Illinois. But it is that where you're going to have to pick and choose your spots and find spots where you can win. And USC is in an interesting situation where Lincoln Riley's got a lot on his plate from a pressure standpoint. It will be the Trojans. It'll be their first conference game as well. But Purdue's going to be a double-digit underdog in that game. You know it. And you look at games like Illinois at home, where Illinois is top 15 maybe, and you're going to be a double-digit underdog at home against them, a team that you almost beat last year. I think you look at those 2 games in the middle of October. Minnesota, Northwestern, I believe, are back-to-back. Am I got that right? And I think you got to figure out a way. Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers. We talked about last year, October being the part of the schedule that was murderer's row for Purdue. This year, they've got to find a way to have some level of success even if you think you're going to puncture that 4 to 5 level. And again, Rutgers has shown improvement under Greg Schiano. Minnesota is Minnesota. It's never easy with PJ Fleck. Again, I don't know. I'm not an odds maker. I think you're going to be hard pressed to be a favorite in those games. But then you start to November, and you got the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th. I don't know how much better Washington's going to be this year because they did not have as good a year last year as we've talked about. But you've got 4 brutal games in the month of November and a bye week in between. Of course, the 4th being the Indiana game at home. And we never used to think that game was not winnable. It's probably winnable just because it's a rivalry game. But you better strap it in and hope that you're really fully loaded by that time to play Indiana. But I think the thing that's so tough about this is just being able to predict, what are we truly going to see? When you think about, look at with Purdue's 3 guys that are going to media day. You've got Devin Mockabee, which we all know, but then you go with CJ Madden, and Grimes, first name. I've got it. Tony Grimes.
Yeah.
That tells you where, you got guys that obviously CJ Madden was here last year, but my point is you've got some newcomers there and you just have so many guys that we're going to, you're doing a great job of putting your list together of your top 30 on GoldandBlack.com. And I'm having to look every morning. I'm having to look closely and say,
who's this guy?
Are these guys? And that's the thing. I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, you're right, Alan. The first 2 games of the year are non-negotiable. They've got to be wins for Purdue, right? The opener against Ball State, and then SIU coming here for a night game, the second tilt of the year. Then you got USC at Notre Dame, right, to close September. And you're right, October is that month. If you're Purdue, you got to circle, right? If you go into October 2-2, October is when you got to make your hay if you get to 3 or 4 wins, right?
Yeah.
And Illinois at home, not so sure about that one, but those 3 in a row at Minnesota, at Northwestern, Rutgers.
Yeah.
And Purdue win 2 of those 3 games. That's probably that's going to determine if Purdue can exceed that 3.5, I think, projected win total Vegas has. Because then, Alan, you talked about November. My goodness, at Michigan, Ohio State, at Washington, off, and then you got IU on Black Friday night.
Yeah.
On NBC/Peacock, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Crazy, huh? Black Friday, home game here in West Lafayette against the Hoosiers. So, boy, long, steep hill to climb in November. So, again, October is that month to circle for Purdue. And yeah, you talked about Devin Mockabee going out to Vegas. C.J. Madden's got to be a guy who steps up defensively. Only played 3 games last year, was hurt. They need pass rushers. Grimes is a guy, Alan, that came from Las Vegas, knows the Barry Odom defense.
Yeah.
He's going to start a cornerback for you. I think it's his 5th year in college. He's been to 4. This thing is his 4th school, if you can believe it. He's going to have to be a bellwether back there. And again, that secondary's got a lot of questions. So, yeah, I don't know, and then quarterback, right? Let's not kid ourselves here, okay? Ryan Brown's going to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. If he's not the guy, I think Purdue's in a lot of trouble. That spot really worries me, Alan. I like Ryan Brown a lot, but he's still relatively inexperienced.
Yeah.
Got two career starts.
Yeah.
And he played a handful of snaps in other games. I don't know. We'll see if he struggles. Malachi Singleton. I don't know, Alan. That's a spot to keep on your radar. Quarterback. It's no secret. We all know the importance of that position, and we'll see how Ryan Brown develops. And I think that's a guy the media would like to talk to in Las Vegas. You always want to talk to the quarterback, and I know they're not going to gift him the job, but they went out and got him for a reason in the spring, right? The guys that were here for spring football didn't overly impress. So there was a need there, and here comes Ryan Brown. So he's an easy guy to like, Alan. If you talk to Ryan Brown, get to know him. His teammates like him. Good athlete. I think he can be a solid Big Ten quarterback, and we'll see if he can rally the troops here and get the most out of that talent, especially a wide receiver.
Yeah, GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast brought to you by our friends at the Union Club Hotel and 811 Bistro. Boiler House Prime Restaurant, too. We appreciate them and all that they do for us at Gold and Black. A good time to head out to if you want to have a iced tea or something, a drink or two at the beautiful Boiler House Prime. Great place to enjoy a summer evening.
Can I ask to sit in the Alan Karpick booth when I go there?
Yeah, I know. You got the Gene Katie booth downstairs. Gene, I think I've been in there 2-3 times. A couple times just to show people it, and Gene was there each time. So that part, that part.
If I go in there, they'll make me eat in the kitchen probably.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can bear. That's exactly right. Lily Sendek and company. They have. She's hosted the coach, and of course, Gene's wife Kathleen. They don't have to go far. Gene lives about a half a mile from there, up at University Place, and it's a good spot to get there and he's pretty good decor, so to speak, because everybody wants to talk to Gene Katie. But the good folks at White Lodging and running that restaurant as well, and it's a big deal. And the other thing, we wrote a story on for the Persistent Pursuit on the Junior PGA will be in West Lafayette on the 29th of July. Huge event, and that really the focus of the junior golf world will be at playing both the Camp and Costler and Ackerman Allen courses, and that clubhouse is coming in handy for that as well. Don't be surprised, as much as you were surprised, Tom Dienhart, about Vegas and would we live long enough to see Vegas host the Big Ten Media Day? I always wondered, would I ever see a Purdue golf course on television? Don't be shocked down the road that they get an LPGA event or another major event here, U.S. Amateur. You just wouldn't be surprised if that happens because of that facility. A lot of great, a lot of raving about it, certainly from a golf standpoint. And that part of it, I think, is going to be fun to watch unfurl. That was a long commercial for the Union Club Hotel, but we're digressing all over the place. So Barry Odom, we've talked about this. Seems to have the right attitude. He has to. I think if I were him, and he's knows more about this than I do by a lot, got to focus on the day-to-day. You just got to focus on doing whatever it takes to get better today. And that means, we've talked a little bit about recruiting. Purdue's ranked in the 50s this year, but there have been some good news. Certainly been a lot of activity. I think Barry Odom and company are making an impact in the state of Indiana. Dub Jellison and Tom Dienhart doing a lot of work with that as well. But just your impression, just in terms of his how he approaches stuff. And it is, and again, the gates will kind of all open for us once the season starts, because you just don't know until you really see it. We know about Barry Odom. We've seen him coach at Mizzou and obviously at UNLV, and in his time at Arkansas also as an assistant. But you just have to wait and see how it's all gonna unfold, right? I mean, is that about the only way you can even approach it from your perspective?
Yeah, and again, just with all the roster change too, Alan, how's chemistry going to come to?
Yeah, that's just huge.
And that underrated intangible chemistry. So you're right. Barry Odom's been there and done that, right? He talked about his stint at Missouri, 4 years there, at UNLV for a couple of years as a head coach. Did a great job, especially at UNLV. Place historically has been rotten. He had a couple of terrific seasons there, getting them to the Mountain West Championship game a couple times. And he ripped the roster apart each year, Alan. He told us he was going to do that shortly after he got hired. Remember, we had him on this Simulcast, I think, and sort of tipped his hand. It wasn't a real big shock. I think he told Bobinski what he was going to do when he was there. He was getting interviewed, and you got to trust he knows what he's doing. They always say trust the process, Alan. Just trust the process. And you talked about some of that moments ago about just doing what's in front of you, taking care of today. Don't get lost in tomorrow. And with all the worries there, don't look over your shoulder at yesterday, because that's going to mess up what you're doing right now. So again, Barry Odom, I think, gets all that. Alan, hard, smart, and tough is your mantra. That's his mantra. Perfect mantra for especially a Purdue football coach, I think. He is almost like Purdue Pete personified,
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's not a Purdue grad, but he's the kind of guy that would have gone to Purdue and excelled. I could see him walking across the old Stewart Center into the Union with his backpack and with his leather jacket on. He'd have been against Boilermakers. So we'll see how it goes. You're right. And it's exciting. I think I like his staff a lot, Alan. I think it's a well-constructed staff, a nice mix of age and youth. Cornell Ford from Gary, Indiana, the wide receivers coach. Vance Weiss up front on the O-line. The two guys up front, the D-line coaches, Alan. Kelvin Green and Jake Trump have done a great job recruiting so far. Back to your note on recruiting, Alan. 20 commitments so far. Yeah, it's great having Dub Jellison on our team. I know Dub is very excited too, Alan, but 20 commits so far in the class of 2026. The three top commits, if you believe the rankings, Alan, are all defensive linemen.
Yeah.
The most recent one was obviously one of their biggest catches yet, Catrell Webb. Jamarcus Weiss was a nice get too, and Josiah Hope, a big defensive tackle from Kentucky. So some nice D linemen, Alan. The key for Purdue now, people tell me on the staff, is they got to keep them.
Yeah.
It's a long way to, I think it's December 4th is signing day. That seems like an eternity, doesn't it? December 4th. Yeah. But yeah, these other schools don't stop recruiting, and you got to stick with these guys, Alan. So yeah, nice start to this recruiting class for Hope and Company.
Well, and you've got we already talked, I think, in this your 3-2-1 about the Louisville flipper. You've got talk about that situation, because that's a classic example. And again, the world we're living in. I mean, that's not all that new, because it's been going on for a while, but a classic example of what Purdue could be facing.
Yeah, he was committed to Louisville, and Purdue flipped him. Now there's the rumblings already how Louisville is going to flip him back. I'm sure Mark Hagan, our old buddy Mark Hagan's texting him furiously. Jeff Brahms, Jeff's on. I'm sure Brady Brahms sending him messages. Who knows? But the U of L staff is on him like they should be, right? They're doing their job, Alan. They're just doing their job. And I'm sure Purdue's on guys that are committed elsewhere too. You got to keep selling and keep pushing, Alan. Until somebody says I do and puts a ring on your finger, right?
Yep.
Never give up, and that's all these staffs have to do. So it's kind of some of the gamesmanship here, and so far so good with the D-line guys, Alan. I think the big looming question as far as remaining needs go, Alan, I'm told they want at least one or two safeties here, and I think keep your eye on a 2027 quarterback. Typically, these quarterbacks sometimes commit even a year early. It happened last year. Purdue got a kid named Oscar Rios from California, if you remember. Of course, he ended up decommitting. But sometimes these quarterbacks a year early will commit just to get a spot in a game of musical chairs. So always keep the 2027 quarterbacks on your radar too.
Yeah, of course, we're talking about defensive line Josiah Hope four-star who flipped from Louisville to Purdue, and Purdue has to hope that he's not flipping back. Stay tuned on that one, because that's a thing we're going to see a lot of. All right, we'll talk one last couple other things. Obviously, Purdue, a consensus 18th pick, Phil Steele, who does a great job with his preview. Though I don't know how the heck he does it either. To be honest, I don't know how you put that together, but he's got Purdue in the 100s, I believe, and that isn't a good place if you're Purdue, but it is where the Boilermakers are. None of that matters, but it is funny because as these media days unfurl, obviously Big Ten media days all this week is going to all be about Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan. But really, is Ohio, can Penn State really be the favorite? Sure looks like it on paper, but how can you bet against Ohio State? Ohio State's got some holes to fill. Michigan's certainly ended its season in a way that certainly gets your attention. But it's really going to be that storyline of those teams. And my point is, Purdue's not going to get any attention, like as in Tom Dienhart, and that'd be about it. And Sam King and the other folks on the beat, obviously the Journal and Courier on down the line, but it is really that, and you have to embrace anonymity. I think if you're Purdue at this point, it doesn't really matter. They just got to focus on what they got to focus on.
Yeah, you're right. No pressure, right, Alan? There's no expectations. There are none really.
Yeah.
Of what we have in West Lafayette here, and there's no pressure at this point. Obviously, the honeymoon is still raging here. So yeah, Purdue's going to be a footnote.
Yeah, at best.
I guess let's be honest. It's going to be a footnote among these 18 schools out there. You talked about Penn State. Can James Franklin really get over the hump, Alan?
Yeah.
I wonder that. They have the quarterback, Drew Aller, back. Quarterback question in Ohio State. Quarterback question in Michigan. Even in Oregon, too. They're breaking a new quarterback. But you never want to, as we know, Alan, as football fans, you never want to underestimate any of those schools. And I think, you still wonder how good is Illinois, how good is Indiana? Are they?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just don't know. I mean, I know, of course, we're kind of Illinois, because of the way the Purdue game worked out last year, a game, that 50-49 crazy game, where Ryan Brown had a huge second half, especially. It's hard to look at them and say, boy, is this a top 15 team really? Now they did win their bowl game against South Carolina in an game that almost turned out into a fist fight. I get that. Indiana was what Indiana was last year, going through the season with one regular season loss and then losing in the playoffs to Notre Dame. But I'm with you, and I'm not. And this is not Purdue speak. I'm not saying just because it's IU or even Illinois that you get. But it is hard to take them extremely seriously. Now, Brett Bielema certainly is a guy that knows how to put a good football team together and has done that. And Kurt Cignetti has shown that he can do that too. So, but I'm with you. I think those are games that we'll see how Indiana does, just because their schedule is going to be a little bit more difficult this year. A lot more difficult, I should say. Phil Steele's got him on their second row. If I'm looking at it right, at 16th, Illinois 17th, USC 21st, Nebraska I think at 35, Wisconsin's higher than I thought he'd have him at 32nd. But he has Penn State number 1. So what are you going to say?
A couple good. Illinois got Luke Altmaier back, and
yes, and he's a good place to start. I mean,
everybody loves his quarterback. IU got Fernando Mendoza, came from Cal.
Yeah,
he's the real deal. So we'll see. But Luke Altmaier, of course, returning starter for the Illini, and it's fun. Last year the Big 12 picked Arizona State to finish last in the preseason. So who knows? And I was part of the group. I got the email from the Big 10 to be part of their preseason stuff, but they don't pick teams' order of finish, Alan. It's just the players.
Does somebody do an unofficial poll still?
They do the Cleveland. I'm part of the Cleveland.com one.
All right. Now, Nathan's no longer there. He was always putting that together or helping.
Yeah, you're right.
Nathan Baird, of course, the Indianapolis Star.
Yeah. So that's the unofficial Big Ten media poll, and they do a good job at the Cleveland.com. They really canvass the conference, get one or two riders from
You got to pick a winner. I mean,
you got to pick a winner,
yeah.
and it's people want to know. It's just kind of fun fodder for talk radio and guys like you and I who like to debate and act like we're experts sometimes. So yeah, we'll see when that poll comes out. It'll probably shortly. I think it'll probably come out on the eve of Big Ten Media Days.
Yeah, I'm thinking it will, and out in Las Vegas. All right.
So yeah,
Well,
see. Like I said, it'll be a lot of fun, Alan, and like, a lot of questions. I'm surprised about Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell's on a hot seat, maybe one of the hottest seats in the Big Ten, right? I'm not sure if there's many other hot seats in the conference. I think Lincoln Riley at USC's
yeah,
a little bit of a hot seat there. Oregon, Washington. I think UCLA's fine, and the rest of the Big Ten. PJ Fleck got extended. Matt Rule, Kirk Ferentz, Northwestern, Illinois. So you think out east too, Penn State, Maryland. I think Loxley's okay. Shiano's okay. Franklin, Jonathan Smith just got to Michigan State. So, yeah, I think there's a handful of guys. Luke Fickell, I think Lincoln Riley in particular, are facing some scrutiny this year. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do.
And again, that's part of the narrative of how this whole thing works, because that's where you get conversation, and coaches don't like that. I get it, but you know what? That keeps people talking about college football throughout the course of the year. And if you don't know who the players are, sometimes you do know who the coaches are, and you'll learn who the players are at Purdue and other places throughout the course of the year through Tom Dienhart.
Just think, Alan, if you were still in the program selling business, you'd make a fortune now.
Yeah, yeah. If programs are still a thing, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be AI driven before long, and there'll be a chip in your head before long to be able to do all that. Well, Tom, we look forward to your work in Vegas. Safe travels out there, and safe travels as you head into the Big Ten season. We're going to have some fun doing that and reporting on that.
And next time we talk, I'm flying out of Purdue International Airport.
Yeah,
I'll give you the lowdown on that experience. Okay,
it'll be one of the last trips on Southern Airways, right? And you're going from Southern Airways to Chicago and then out.
Yeah, I'm going up to O'Hare. So wish me luck, buddy.
Southern Airways is going to end its travel in West Lafayette on the 5th of August, but I think, I don't think, I know United's coming in. That's a good thing. I take the Flix bus to Chicago, man. I just see my son sometimes. So any mode of transportation we can do it works. That's for sure. All right, Tom, thanks again so much. We appreciate it. We look forward to your work. We'll have some fun with it in your reporting from Las Vegas and beyond. And I know, and I'm trusting. I know you. You're not going to come home with a $10,000 debt after that. That part, I'm almost sure.
No, I'm pretty boring these days, Alan.
We get to that age, we don't want to do that. All right, we'll see you, and we'll be talking more from Vegas and after Vegas on Saturday Simulcast and beyond. All right, Tom, thanks again. Thanks again to our Union Club Hotel, Boiler Up Bar, 811 Bistro. We appreciate you. And also a reminder, you can subscribe to this thing called GoldandBlack.com. Great idea for a gift. We have special gift rates. Click the link below. We also have special for our YouTube subscribers. You can subscribe to our podcast and to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to leave us a positive review. That never hurts. If you don't have a positive review, you can keep it to yourself, as Brian Newbert always says. But we'll have more. We'll have more, too, on Tuesday. Brian, this weekend in Chicago, covering some basketball. When is he not covering basketball recruiting and July evaluation? I'm sure that he will be a part of the Gold and Black Radio Tuesday edition with Derek Schultz. We'll look forward to that as well. So have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks to all of you, and enjoy July and the good weather, the hot weather in the state of Indiana, certainly. But we'll look forward to seeing you next week on our GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast.